Leadership is not a position. It's not a status. It's not, are you an entrepreneur or are you not? It's nothing to do with any of that. It's not your age or your gender. It's a choice. So it doesn't matter if you have a job or work at a job or work for someone else. Look at all the opportunities around you to create and build.
I think when you build or you have a mindset to build, when challenges are placed before you, those challenges can actually be opportunities. You can really build out of the challenges that are presented in front of you, whether that's financial, emotional, mental, the loss of a loved one, whatever that challenge might be.
Life is better when you're building. I mean, think about it from the time you were a kid. If you're building a fort in your basement, or you're building a treehouse in your backyard, whatever it is, it's fun to build. It's fun to make something out of nothing or make a dream a reality, right? Welcome to the Everyday Leader Podcast. Leadership is a choice. Join me, Matt, and my co-hosts Drew and Tate each episode as we break down how to lead powerfully in your family, team, and organization. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Everyday Leader Podcast. Drew and I are excited to talk about a word and a concept that is really important to us and that we are all in on right now and probably have been for a really long time. And it's really present for us right now. And that word is the word build. Obviously, I am creating a business that is called Build. And Drew also has had these realizations around like what he's really feeling passionate about and what he's creating. And that word is showing up there too. So Drew, tell us a little bit about that, about as you considered how to describe what you do in 5 words or less, you had that word kind of come up. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So I gave Matt a little bit of context before we started. That's where the question's coming from. But I recently saw or had a friend that had posted on Facebook and said, tell what you do in 5 words or less. And I was thinking about the Abundant Man Project. And if you haven't heard me talk about this on any of our episodes, the mission is to inspire men to have abundance and amplify their God-given potential. We want to do that by helping men focus on their faith, family, fitness, and finances. And as I was thinking about, okay, what do I do in 5 words or less? I've heard, and maybe Matt, you've like influenced me through just me hearing you talk about what you're doing. But the thought just popped in my head: build men, build the kingdom. And to unpack that a little bit, I think if we want to build the kingdom of God, men have to build themselves and build their own lives, build their relationships with Christ, build their relationships with their family. They've got to lead their own homes. And this isn't a ministry or a church organization I'm starting. It's nothing like that. It's really a personal development group for men, but we're building men. And we really feel like, hey, we want to help people as part of this get closer to God, closer to Christ. Doesn't matter what their faith is or their beliefs are, but as we build men, that's naturally going to build up God's kingdom. And that's fun. That's exciting. That's an exciting thing I want to do and be a part of.
Yeah. Okay. This is a really cool concept. I think that everyone can relate to the word build because we see it all around us, right? I mean, you can't drive anywhere without seeing something being built, a house, a building, a bridge. And all of us are aware of that happening in our world. It's a little bit different and maybe a little bit more challenging to wrap your mind around what does building a man look like? How does one build a man?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'll go back to those 4 pillars I mentioned: faith, family, fitness, and finance. And there's other areas of life you can work on, or other categories you could create. Those are just the 4 we want to focus on, and we've focused what we're doing on. But I really feel like faith is the foundation. Like that's the foundation of your life is determined by your faith and the strength of your faith. Family is probably the most important thing you have here on this earth. And if you don't have a family, it's probably the relationships with those that you're close to that matter the most. Fitness, we've talked a lot about health and fitness on our podcast, and I feel like it's the battery for everything that you do. If you aren't taking care of yourself, you don't have the energy to do the things you want to do, maybe your family wants to do, maybe God wants you to do. And then finances is really an amplifier. I think finances, your money amplifies who you are. And and so if men focus on those things, and not just men, if we've got our moms or listening or other women, like you focus on those areas of your life, like things are pretty good when those areas are all pretty good. And if one or more of those areas aren't very good, often I find life isn't great for people.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so let's look at this a couple different ways. Like, first of all, if we're just gonna look at ourselves, so like let's say I am like I want to build myself as a man, as a leader. Like I want to build myself. What is that? Talk us through like you building yourself.
yeah, we've got some cool. I wasn't even expecting to go here today, but you're asking the questions. So, we've got like these core values that I think are really cool in the abundant man. The first one is believe in you. And I think that's where it starts for every man. Like if you don't believe in yourself, you won't change yourself. If you don't believe you can do something, why would you even try? Or if you've tried to do something and you don't believe you can do it, it makes it that much harder to actually try to do the thing you're looking to accomplish. And so it all starts with a belief in yourself. You change that belief. We say your words matter by the way you speak. The way you speak about yourself and speak to others about yourself matters so much. Then we talk about responsibility over accountability. It's this idea of having integrity, and you you have integrity. You are fully responsible when you're doing things because you said you'll do it, not because people are checking up on you, not because your wife told you to do it. It's because this is who I said I am, or this is what I said I'll do. And so I do that. Then we have this idea of move mountains. That can be doing something huge and monumental, or it could be maybe a shovel at a time, a shovel full of dirt over a long period of time can move a mountain. And then our last principle is eyes up leadership, that once you have started to experience abundance, the way you experience more of it is you turn around and you look for others you can help.
Yeah. Okay, that's so good. That's concise enough and clear enough. I think that that's helpful for people to be like, okay, if I want to build myself, well, look at your belief. You get to choose what you believe. You know,
Yeah.
look at what was the second one?
Your words matter.
Yeah, yeah. Look
You
at how you
change your
talk.
beliefs by the way you start to talk.
Yes, and you can build you by the way you talk to yourself, for sure,
Absolutely.
and the way you talk about what you're building or what you want or what you're creating in the world. That's so good. Okay, and then your last one, eyes up leadership, right? That kind of takes me to my next question, which was like, what about when we're talking about building other leaders or building other people, right?
Well, we've talked about it a ton on this podcast,
Yeah,
that like part of leadership is leading yourself. And so like all those other steps are really about doing things for you. And as you build yourself, like the natural thing you will find is a desire to go out and help others experience what you've experienced. And
yeah,
so I think the natural step in leadership, especially if you start by leading yourself, is at some point, hey, how can I lead someone else? And that doesn't mean you go and tell somebody what to do. It could be, and it could be serving someone. It could be, teaching something. It could be encouraging someone. It could be speaking power into someone, telling them what you believe about them. All those same principles. So,
yeah, yeah. I've been saying a lot lately that life is better when you're building,
yeah,
and it is. I mean, take that on as a mantra for yourself. Life is better when you're building. I mean, think about it from the time you were a kid. It life is better when you're building. If you're building a fort in your basement, or you're building a treehouse in your backyard, or you're building uh whatever, like a go-kart, I don't know whatever it is, it's fun to build. It's fun to create. It's fun to make something out of nothing
yeah,
or make a dream a reality, right? It's fun to build. And it seems like at some point as we get older, we kind of lose that a little bit. Like I think we lose some of that like natural creativity or curiosity or interest in building. And part of it, and I'm curious your take on this too, Drew, is that our society is a very much like a consumer driven society, and we're being bombarded all the time with ways to consume, which is not always inherently bad. Like there's a lot of things we consume that are very good. So I'm not saying that the consuming things is bad by itself. And I think sometimes that helps us or causes us or contributes to us losing sight of like, hey, I'm a builder and I want to build something, because we're just bombarded with options to consume all the time. And that's what I'm saying, is that life is better when you're building.
Yeah.
You may be under the guise of like, yeah, life's pretty good when I'm just get to chill and consume. It's like, and life is really fun and full when you're building.
Well, let's take social media, which is like the necessary evil of our day.
Yeah.
Right? It's like it's a platform where you create or you consume. Like you're literally a consumer on the platform, or you're a creator on the platform. There's way more consumers than creators. I find myself often being more of a consumer on it than, because it's much easier to sit and scroll for 10, 15, 30 minutes, an hour, than it is to go create and share, and face the struggle and criticism and the self-limiting beliefs you have around, trying to share a message with the world through social media. And what's all, just as you talk about that too, it's like, if you think about your use of social media, I don't think most people like feel really good after they spend a lot of time
Mm.
consuming. Where you do feel really good, back to your point of building, when you're building something, you're creating something. That's fun. That's exciting.
Yeah. Okay. So the the challenge or the question we want to pose to you today is, what are you building? And this isn't like you have to be building anything in particular. I want to encourage all of you to build and to intentionally build with what's in front of you, or with what, build towards what you want. And that's
Yeah.
the beautiful thing, is that you don't have to build a business. You don't have to build a family. You don't have to do any of this. And we're inviting you to consider, have you maybe been hiding from something that you have thought about, that you have thought, I'd want to do that someday, or I want to do that, and then you don't? Or have you, upon reflection, have you become more of a consumer than a builder? And what does that look like? And are you okay with that? And is that what you want? And again, my belief is that life is better when you're building. And so I invite all of you to consider, what are you building? And are you building? And what does that look like?
What would be better in your life if you were building that area of your life?
Yeah.
Uh, well, Matt, okay, let me flip the question around on you. What are you building in front of you
Yeah. Well,
right
for
now?
anyone who's been listening, they probably already know. And
Yeah, in case they haven't.
yeah, yeah, this word has been, this idea has just been my whole life. Like I think back to the amount of tree houses and dog houses and chicken coops and ramps and bike ramps that I've built, corrals and barns and a house, houses. I love building things. It's so fun. It fills me full of like authentic dopamine is what it creates for me, right? Whereas like a lot of times we have these fake sources of dopamine in our world where we're not actually really getting authentic dopamine production. We're just getting like the fake version. And that can keep you from building. That's what a lot of like what you're describing on social media ends up being, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm very confidently and very clearly right now building, I mean, first and foremost, my relationship with Jesus Christ and my faith in him. I'm actively and intentionally building that. And next and very close to that is building my family. And that's an intention, right? Not just like actually having children. Beyond that, though, building a family and a culture inside a family and a standard inside a family is a work. It's work. It's building. It takes effort and intention. Building a close relationship with my wife and each of my kids is an intentional work, and one that's so fulfilling and so challenging. We've said it many times on the show, parenting and being in a family is the ultimate laboratory for learning how to lead. There's nothing like it in the world that I've ever experienced. And then beyond that, building the kingdom, right? Building, and when we talk about building the kingdom, it's is sharing the truths that we believe in and hold close about what Jesus offers everyone and how that's available to everyone, and then helping people take hold of the gifts that He has given us and that He provide that are available to us. I'm actively building leaders through my business and through coaching baseball. Whether that's 10-year-olds on a baseball field or managers of teams across the country, building leaders and obviously build the location that we're building, which is being painted today, by the way. It's almost done. That's all still wrapped up in there, right? I mean, if you really boil down what's happening inside Builds, we're building leaders. So,
And what is Build? And one more time, in case someone has missed that in a previous episode.
Yeah, Build is like the ultimate life and workspace for entrepreneurs, where you can have an office or office space, host meetings and events, work out in a really cool gym, go to the sauna, do the cold plunge, and do some recovery all in the same place, and be a part of a really intentional community with an identity and an understanding of what it means to build.
Place where you can build your life and your business.
Yeah, in alignment instead of in opposition. So
Awesome.
For those of you who, and not that I'm like the most energetic person in the world, right? And sometimes people ask me like, how do you always just like upbeat, or how do you maintain energy? It's like, can you guys see where all my dopamine's coming from after I just described everything I'm building? And there's still plenty of days where, it doesn't feel that way, and you second guess, and you listen to your limitations, and you question and doubt.
If you know Matt and you wonder if he's not human, I've seen the human side of Matt at times. And it's very rare you see it, and Matt's a human too.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. And what I'm getting at is, like, if you want to wake up excited about life and business, choose to intentionally build things. That's what the message is today.
All right, Matt, but I'm an employee working a 9-to-5 job. Like, what can I build?
Yeah.
I can't build a business. We've got T-ball games on the weekend, and I participate in my church in the evenings, and I'm all times of my life are full. How can I build? Do I have to be an entrepreneur? Are you asking me to quit my job and go do something crazy like you and Drew?
No, not at all. And this is the principle that if you don't take anything away from today other than this, that would be great, which is leaders, right? We talk about this all the time on our show. Leadership is not a position. It's not a status. It's not, are you an entrepreneur or are you not? It's nothing to do with any of that. It's not your age or your gender. It's a choice. And leaders create and build with what's in front of them. That's like one of the most useful things I've ever understood about leadership and tried to embody. And so it doesn't matter if you have a job or work at a job or work for someone else. Look at all the opportunities around you to create and build, whether that's a relationship, whether that's a project, an experience, an event, a funnel, like there's just unlimited amounts of things in front of you to build and work with. And that includes all the things that seemingly go wrong, or the things that are bad, or the things that happen to you that are unfortunate. You get to choose how you respond and create and build with all of those things too. And so, yeah, not at all. You don't need to quit your job. You don't need to be an entrepreneur. That's what the whole point of this show is to tell you and help you see that leadership is nothing to do with your situation or your circumstance. And it has everything to do with how you choose to show up.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have kind of created my schedule in a way where I actually try not to start business till about 10 a.m. So I can spend time working on me, spend time with my family in the mornings. Often once I start working, I don't stop. Like that's it's a blessing and a curse in a lot of ways. It's great because I get a lot done, and sometimes it's hard for me to stop in the evening when our family's trying to wind down. I'm still wanting to work and to build, so to speak. But it is interesting how, this is just a small example, but I know people around me here in the Gila Valley that like they start building their lives every day at 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, getting up early, going to the gym. And once again, not to say that's the way you have to do it in your life. And just I was thinking about how do I build if I'm in a position where I've got a full schedule and a busy life and I work for somebody and I don't have the creative ability to be an entrepreneur and or I don't even want to be that. Uh to your point, Matt, it's like you can be a leader wherever you're at. You can be a leader in your home. It could be an intentional building could be, hey, I'm going to spend an extra 5 or 10 minutes with my kids this evening, off my phone, present with them, reading a book, asking about their day. Like that could be building. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be quit the job today, tell my boss I'm done and wonder what I'm doing with my life tomorrow as I try to come up with something new. It doesn't have to be something that dramatic. It can literally be small choices, small decisions every day that, hey, I'm going to build this area of my life with a small effort, small change.
Yeah. And it can be that. It can be crazy if you want.
Yeah, it can be. And if you're thinking about it, we tell you to
Go do
don't
it.
ask us. We might tell you to just go
Yeah.
jump. That's one of my favorite things is getting people to quit their jobs. So
Yeah. 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 Life is better when you're building and leaders build with what's in front of them. And that is so useful. I had an experience over the last probably 6 weeks, right? Where we had a situation. It was associated with build where like we're trying to create the space the way we want it to be, and there's like these hiccups, like things didn't go the way we were originally told or like the way we originally planned, and you can really like fight against that, right? And be like bitter, be disappointed, be upset, or you can build and create with what's in front of you, right? So it's like, okay, here's this thing that's being presented to me, this roadblock, this issue. Don't argue against the objections. Don't argue against what's happening. Recognize like, okay, what do I do with this? I'm a leader. I get to respond. I get to like build and create with what's in front of me, right? So build relationships, ask questions, listen, help other people get what they want. Like keep building and creating relationships and connections with people instead of fighting against their objections. And it's really amazing to see after 6 weeks, you come full circle and what you want was able to happen because you were able to help someone else get what they want because you didn't fight against their objections. You didn't get upset and get rattled. You just keep building and creating with what's in front of you. And it works out. And a big part of that, we're kind of getting off on a tangent here, but a big part of that was being unattached from the outcome.
yeah.
And we could do a whole nother show on just that topic because it's so important. And the whole point of building, right, if we're going to kind of wrap this up a little bit, is the process of building. That's where the dopamine comes from. That's where the joy comes from. That's where like the fulfillment comes from. It's not in the completion of what you're building. And if you think it is, you'll find out real soon that it's not. And so let's get committed to the process. Let's get committed to like an obsessed with building, not with something being built or something being done or finished and obviously there's parts of that, right? Like part of building is that you get stuff done and you create things that didn't exist before. And you'll find out real quick that if you're attached to the outcome instead of the process of building, you'll find yourself sorely disappointed and looking for something else to build really fast.
Yeah, totally. I was thinking of some things and I'm trying to decide if it's ties into what we're what we're talking about or not. So maybe I'll share and if it doesn't, maybe I'll let Matt figure out a way to make this all connect. But as you were talking, I was thinking about what are the individual circumstances that have appeared before me the last year or two. And I don't talk a lot openly on the show, but you know a lot of this, Matt. Like, in fact, there's even been some as of late I haven't told you about, but I've had more financial, what would be the best word?
Grain?
What's that?
Grain?
Strains. Yeah. Well, but not so much from my ability to make money, but just as much from like things popping up, like
Yep.
unexpected costs in business, big losses in real estate, in repairs, um, vehicle repairs. I've spent more on vehicle repairs this last year than ever in my entire life. And what's been interesting is I've not every time, but I've tried to just see it for what it is when it pops up and not react to it. And when you start making decisions because you're choosing the choice instead of just reacting to the moment, you can build something better. You can build your life better. You can build your internal resistance better. So I was just thinking about that. Like I've had a lot of like things that 5 or 6 years ago would have just sent me into a panic that have been like the most latest, like took my truck in to get the AC fixed, expecting $500, maybe 1,000, probably $6,000 in other repairs that
Yeah.
were found and have to be made. And it was like, cool, it's fine. It'll be good. It's
Build
not a
and
big
create
deal.
what's in front of you.
Right.
Like find a way.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyways, was maybe a little bit off tangent, but I think when you build or you have a mindset to build, when challenges are placed before you, those challenges can actually be opportunities for you to grow, opportunities for you to create, opportunities for you to learn. And it doesn't just, you can really build out of the challenges that are presented in front of you, whether that's financial, emotional, mental, the loss of a loved one, whatever that challenge might be.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the take home message from today's show is that part of choosing to be a leader is choosing to create and build with what's in front of you, meaning the things that happen to you, the circumstances that pop up, the opportunities that come your way. You're looking for, okay, how do I build and create with what's right in front of me? It doesn't matter what it is. I'm a leader. I can build and create with what's happening, with what's in front of me. And if you're still wondering what that translates to for you, it's called freedom. Because now, like what we're describing is like you're not a victim of your circumstances. You're not captive by the things that happen to you or the unfortunate circumstances or whatever. You're free to choose how to respond. And it's way more fun to choose to respond through the lens of how do I build and create with what's in front of me than being a victim of it or just retreating into silence or hiding and consuming more, which we all do sometimes. I can tell you it's not that fun.
It isn't, and it is more fun to build and do the opposite. In fact, even with some of this real estate stuff I've alluded to, we've brought Josh on the podcast before, and Josh is my business partner, but it's been fun as things have popped up for us. Like the problems now are like seem pretty small to things we've dealt with in the past, and that's actually a fun thing too. Like as you build yourself, it's funny, like the weight you can bear, the amount you can put on your shoulders, the load gets lighter. God helps with that load, and you can get stronger to bear and take on more. And that might seem scary at first, like, hey, I don't want to take on any more than I'm taking on right now. And as you build, your capacity increases, and you actually can help more and serve more as you do so. So, anyways,
Yeah, and
fun.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's a great point, is that I believe that as humans, because our brains like are wired to keep us safe and they like want us to be like okay, that we almost have this expectation that like life is going to be settled, or we're going to get to the point when we're not going to have these issues, or we're not going to have spoiler alert, like that doesn't happen, okay? And I encourage you not to want it to happen. Like part of this whole mindset that we're encouraging you to take on as a builder is that there's always another surprise. There's always another issue. There's always another roadblock. And the joy that we're talking about, like the fulfillment and like this feeling of like accomplishment is actually comes from us working through those things. So quit trying to get them to all go away, and instead, like, be willing to just build and create with what's in front of you, with what comes up. And that's fun. That's like a never-ending journey of climbing and progressing and learning and building. In the example I shared earlier of, like, it took 6 weeks to kind of work through something by not pushing against people, and then, like, eventually it resolves itself. This happened yesterday, and it was like this immense relief. I felt so good. And then it was like, well, I got a whole new set of problems now. Like, now I have space, and now I got to go, like, now we got to find out how to pay for this and how to build this and how to, fill it. And that's a good problem to have. It's more building, right? And so I'm committed to not expecting to be settled.
Yeah.
I'm committed to being prepared to create and build with what's in front of me. And then life is always full and fun as we do so.
Yeah. In fact, even as you were saying that, I was having the thought that, like, man, like, if I could go back and talk to me 5 or 10 years ago, I'd be like, hey, give me some more of these challenges. These ones are
Yeah.
these ones are the fun ones. These are the ones you're going to get through. Like,
Yeah.
these ones aren't that bad. I promise you. Like,
Yeah.
there's going to be more difficult things. You can do this. Like, and not to, like, scare you of the future. And yeah, like, you're totally capable of building where you're at, making a choice where you're at, choosing how you respond, leading powerfully when opportunities arise. Yeah, you can do that all around you. You can build every day.
Yep. Okay. Be a leader, be a builder, and today's the day.
Today's the day.
Thanks for joining us on the Everyday Leader podcast. If you're ready to take your leadership journey even further, subscribe to our weekly newsletter for more insights and practical tips. And don't forget to connect with us on Instagram to stay a part of our growing community. Just follow the links in the show notes. If this episode impacted you, please help us spread the word and share the link with a friend from wherever you're listening.